أكبر الله أكبر حي على الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر
Islam, what? How's everyone doing? Praise God. I rise, giving all praises to Allah, the Father of the universe, cherisher and sustainer of all the balanced universes. Extend highest honor to his holy divine prophet, Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Islam?
Islam.
I extend high honors as well to his forerunner, the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, the founder of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, who did indeed warn and stir up the nations. Islam?
Islam.
Extending high honors as well to the Moorish flag, the red flag with the green, 5-pointed green star in the center. These 5 points represent love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. These are the 5 highest principles known to man. Islam, Moors?
Islam.
Giving honors to the American flag, also known as the Stars and Stripes. This flag exists as a constant reminder that the European nations owe you the Moors of compound interest. Islam?
Islam.
Giving honors to the noble Sheik staff and noble Vanguard staff who keep the peace. We give honors to you, the ills and days, for without you, there is no Moorish movement. Islam?
Islam.
Everybody well?
All is well.
Praise Allah, praise Allah. Tonight, I actually came to be taught, and I was fed very well. I extend honors to the Sheik staff who demonstrated their portions of understanding. I just have a couple pieces to hit, and then we'll return you to your families. It's Moorish American, we like to hold on to you. Kidnapping is illegal, so we're working on it. All right, what I'd like to draw from first, Moorish Americans have a large respect for the, we refer to as the Piscean record or the Bible. Huge respect for it. For ones that don't understand that, if you read the works of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, a lot of the phrases that he uses, you see him drawing from that. Example, so when he says, the lion and the lamb may lay down together, and and neither will be harmed when the morning, when the morning came. That drawing or that reference from the lion and the lamb is coming from the book of Isaiah. Or it talks about the vine and fig tree, demonstrated from the book of Micah. You see what I'm saying? He's demonstrated these various different, portions of understanding of these particular degrees because, for several reasons. One, that record right there goes back into the genealogy of our forefathers. You see what I'm saying? As that book was handed down to us, it was given to us, in a weaponized form, as though it was something not ours, right? But upon inspection, you begin to realize that the cultures, the Prophet tells us about, the secrets that were long held back from the Muslims of the West, of the Americas. And they were held back from by the nations of Egypt, India, and Palestine. Now, you do a research on the ancient, aspect of Palestine, like modern day, when they talk about Palestine, like go over to the map, they'll tell you Palestine doesn't even exist. They'll tell you Israel exists. Islam? And they'll say Palestine is a small, what would have been in ancient times, a small portion here. Ancient Palestine, that we know of, would have taken up the entire area of what you're calling Jordan. Jordan is a fairly new creation. You see what I'm saying? So this country called Jordan, which in ancient times was the land of Moab. Right? That's what it was called in ancient times. When you come more towards the Middle Ages and to the contemporary times, this became called Jordan. All right? But see, this is the thing of, that the European nations, when I say European nation, I'm not just speaking about the ones in Europe. There's a lot of ones that hold the mind state, or as the Prophet put it, those that accept their teachings, right? So you have ones, you have Arabs who are olive hue, but in mentality they're European. You have, ones, Jews who are Sephardim, or from Spain, who are mixed with our ancient Moorish forefathers, who have woolly hair, lighter hued skin, like a hook type of nose, right? Upon looking at them, you might be like, he's got to be mixed with something. But when you talk to him, his whole position is European. Islam? Right, and I think they call that passing. You know what I'm saying? All right? But what I like to draw from is the book of Mark in the Bible, chapter 9. For those who got your Google, you can follow with me. Right? Mark chapter 9. And I'm going to demonstrate the concept or the principle of transformation or transfiguration. Allah bless you. Mark chapter 9. And 9 is the number of completion, right? It says, and he said unto them, verily I say unto you, that there be some of them that stand here which shall not taste of death, and, till they have seen the kingdom of God come with power. And this is the brother Jesus talking. It says, and after 6 days Jesus taketh with him Peter, James and John, and leading them up to a high mountain apart by themselves. And he was transfigured before them. Let me stop there. Now, how many disciples did Jesus have? So they say. So there was 12. Then there was a 50. And there was, right? And then there was an inner court, which those were his private people. So there was only a few of those, right? So if you notice, Jesus took 3 out of the 12 that we know about. He took them up into a high mountain. Islam? To a high mountain. Islam? It says, and he was transfigured before them. Right? Transfigured means to change, alter in appearance. It says, and his raiment, or his garment, or his clothing, became shining, exceeding white as snow, so as no fuller on earth can whiten them. Right? Now, what is the meaning of the word white? What does white mean? Purity means? God means? Rule of the land. Islam? So, by his garment becoming white, exceedingly white, so white that that nothing on earth could whiten it even more. That's demonstrating the fact that he was demonstrating that degree of purity, and as a result, he became a ruler of the land. Islam, or a conqueror of self. Islam, all right. It says, and there appeared unto them. In this translation, it has Elias, which is Elijah, right? Elijah with Moses, and they were talking with Jesus. That's Sister Lamadia's demonstration. The fact that when she said, what makes us, I'm going to use the word worthy. That wasn't the word she used, but that was the energy. But what would make, one worthy for, an ancient spirit to incarnate before you, right? So it just demonstrated that in the previous verses, the fact that, he had, his garment had become so white, and that garment is just, demonstrating the illumination of the radiance of his being, had become so pure that it called forth ancient beings to come and bear witness to him. Islam? Right? So that's where we need to be at now. And some of you, that transfiguration is taking place. And I'm seeing it. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Right? It says, and Peter answered and said to Jesus, Master, it is good for us to be here. And let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, and one for Moses, and one for Elias. For he was wist not what to say, for they were so afraid. And there was a cloud that overshadowed them, and a voice came out of the cloud saying, this is my beloved son, hear him. Another translation says, listen to him. And suddenly, when they had looked round about, they saw no man anymore, save Jesus only with themselves. And as they came down from the mountain, he charged them that they should tell no man what things they had seen, till the Son of Man were risen from the dead. Verse 10, we'll stop at 10. It said, and they kept the saying with themselves, questioning one another what the rising from the dead should mean. Islam, Morris?
Islam.
So there's an inner doctrine. So that this term here. The term here. Esoteric, right? There's 2 other words you can put with that. Arcane and occult. All 3 of these words mean hidden or to hide something, right? So there was a doctrine that he taught the people, the masses of people, right? But for his advanced students, he pulled them to the side and gave them an inner instruction on how to master the innermost parts of their being. Islam? All right? Prophet Noble Dryly gives us these instructions. Matter of fact, he was a continuation of that energy, because if you're aware of what, how Jesus demonstrated to the people 2,000 years ago, he said, I have many things to tell you, but you cannot bear them. Meaning that he, as far as what he taught them and what they were able to master, they weren't able to master everything he said in that time. But he did everything he was supposed to by imparting information. Thus, the last words he uttered was, it is finished. So he accomplished his task. But the ones that he was teaching, because of their doubt and, the power plays, and the same mess is going on now. Same stuff, But because of all of that stuff, they weren't able to master themselves, and they were amazed at him that he was able to do it. But he said, the things that I can do, you'll do even greater. Not that you'll just do what I do,
Islam.
but whatever I do, you're going to demonstrate these things on another plane of thought.
Islam.
Islam? Now, why am I talking about transfiguration or transformation? I've been a Grand Sheik of this temple long enough to see certain growth in ones that have been mentors. I'll start in reverse order of the speakers that spoke before me. My brother Sheik Rashid ibn Halim Bey has always, from day one thing I bear witness to my brother, is that he's always had good character. Always, like from day, like certain things, you really have to work on with people from day one. That wasn't his area, And I was just really impressed with just who he was as a human being, And I give honors to his mother and father for how they raised him. I've never met them, but I've met them through him. Praise Allah. I give honors to the elders. I give honors to, all the trials and tribulation and the foes he may have conquered, right? So as to not succumb to, the victim mentality, right? Because a lot of times, a lot of the garbage that we succumb to as adults that we give into, right? We play the blame game and blame it on I'm this way because this happened to me. There was an elder, there was a master I knew years ago, one of my early teachers. He said that there's no victims, only volunteers.
That's right.
And now, at that time I was like, nah, I can't. Because there's some things that happen. There's no victim. He said, brother, there's contracts made before you incarnate here.
That's right.
And some of us, agree on the other side to take on certain foes to conquer. And it's certain cycle ages, because we don't measure time in a linear fashion. We measure by cycles. It's a cycle. So it's certain things, if you look, just reflect back on your own life, or even just ones that in your own immediate family, you might see that there's certain, what can I say, certain things that keep repeating in their lives, right? When you're in school, they give you an examination, test, right? You fail the test, what happens? Do you move forward? You got to repeat that lesson and retake the test again and again and again until you conquer that particular examination. Islam? What makes us think there's any different in life?
That's right.
So the things that appear to seem to be just keep coming back, there's a lesson in that for us. That's the thing you need to conquer. Islam? And the more can tell you, when he got elevated, offered the position of chairman in our temple, Sheikh, I believe it was 4 in the morning?
3:30.
Islam, because I was up meditating, and I have a tendency, y'all have to forgive me, like if I have been contact me that time in the morning, I have a tendency to think, because I'm up, everybody else is up. My wife can tell you I'm up. I'm trying to figure this nation building out. So I came out of a meditation, and the Spirit said, call him more and offer to him. I don't know if I called you or texted you, one of the two.
You sent me a text.
Praise Allah. So I wasn't all the way rude. But I texted him more, and I offered it to him. He was, in true fashion, because how he responded would determine if I went through with it or not. And the mom was like, nah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm ready to be a sheik. I said, that's just going to make you a phenomenal sheik. If he would say, oh man, I can't wait. That's the tyrant. Tyrant's love. You're going to give me, how many people have worked a job before and, you held the same position as somebody and then they got a promotion. Y'all was cool when y'all was, equals, right? But then they got that title and then what happened to them? They became a tyrant.
Right.
Islam? So all of us aren't built like that. But so I give honors to my brother for having that balance of character. My sister Lamadia Bey. Praise Allah for this sister right here. There's an energy of, first of all, let me start here. I'm gonna go up first. First of all, I thought my sister was a lot older than she was. Not because she looked older, not like that, but because the way she carried herself, she was like, you could tell she was an ancient soul, right? I'm not gonna give no numbers because I found many years ago sisters don't like when you drop ages, but later I found out that she's like old as my oldest daughter, which blew my mind when I heard it. I think I asked about 3 times after that. What'd you say? You're how old? She was like, whatever. And I was like, okay, praise Allah, and I had to reset my thing. I was like, wow, so she's an ancient soul, but incarnated in this young body. You know what I'm saying? But, was more observant than anything. We know that, for those of us who know that our sister Lamadia has a way of saying Islam, and it can fulfill. Sister Lamadia, how you doing? Islam. That means I'm doing what? Sister Lamadia, what do you feel about such? Islam. Okay, we might have to revisit that. Sister Lamadia, what's such? Islam, and that might mean something else. Didn't say much, but always observant, always watching. And then, you know, we got to the point where, you know, fast forward, you know, when we offered her, you know, the position of acting Sheik as, you know, being you know, the secretary at the time, acting secretary. And true to form, with the same energy, she said, I need some time to think about it. You know, no rush, okay, just let us know. And, you know, did her diligence and whatever time she needed. She came back and she was like, Islam, all is well. And here she is ever since, you know. The Ashe Bay family, praise Allah, right? I've had the honor of knowing these young people for, I don't remember how long. It's a decent amount of time. It feels like forever, right? I had the honor of performing their obligation ceremony, their marriage ceremony last year.
Praise Allah.
True honor, high honor. And, you know, it's said that you can tell a lot about a person by the friends that they have. So I was at the wedding, and I got there, and I'm just looking at the various people that come, you know, coming to the wedding. And you would have thought that you were at the United Nations. Every nation, nationality you can name. Ain't right, nobody? And we were looking around like, praise Allah. You know? I mean, all different types. I think I met a brother from Algeria, I believe that was there. Algeria or Morocco? One or two, I think it was Algeria. Algeria? Yeah. We had a nice conversation afterwards. You know? He said, you know, we got to talk. And we just chopped it off to the side, you know? But, I mean, it was just beautiful. You know what I mean? And then, you know, just seeing them, you know, in their energy and stuff like that. And, you know, the fact that, you know, now, you know, just seeing Sister Jasmine through her whole pregnancy, and then actually being there, not in the room, but in the building where she had the baby at, and, you know, getting a chance to get the sneak peek of the baby before anybody else did. Praise Allah for that. You know, and not seeing them, you know, since you had your baby, what date?
The 23rd of August.
23rd of August. So this is my first time seeing her since then. And when I came in and I looked, when I first sat down, I looked over on post. I said, well, who's the brother on post? Because I didn't recognize Brother Jabbar with the goatee, because the last time I saw him, he had he just came down out the mountains with the full beard. And look, my brother looked like super younger. And not only just younger, the fact that, you know, his father degree is kicked in, and you see it on him. As a father of five, I see it. It's a proud, you know, like when the baby cried out, which that is a holy benediction in my ears. Because for years, Morris could tell you how long I've been whining. I know I've been whining about there not being no babies in the temple. I need to hear that, you know, that future in the room. You know, so when she cried out, you was hustling for the pacifier, I almost was like, no, let her cry. It's all right. Let her cry. Because that's the future. But, and then seeing Sister Jasmine's face illuminated, and her demonstrate her mother energy, and seeing her transfigure right in front of us. You understand what I'm saying? You know, and we have to honor the growth in all of us. And when you see a person, you know, conquering foes and reaching those planes of, you know, of God development, you know, you have to honor that. And see, that's one thing that as a people that we don't do enough. You know, it says in our record that when man honors man, he honors Allah.
Islam.
And when man does for man, he does for Allah. And that's woman to woman too. So the whole thing is that we don't have a spook God concept of our Creator.
No.
Because the nearest place to meet Allah is where?
Your heart.
Islam. Right? So, you know, I look at the ones that are around me and I get inspired. You know, like I didn't have, you know, I sent Sheik Rashid a message earlier. And I was like, I won't be demonstrating tonight. I'm just going to come in the Lord meeting. And I came and I sat down. He was like, he looked at me, going through the Quran, and said, you got something to say, don't you? Islam. Because I get inspired by you all, just the being in you all's presence. You understand what I'm saying? And the blessing is not me being here, it's you being here, and me bearing witness to you all. Islam? Like I tell anybody, I got the best seat in the house. I get a chance to look at me before the Moorish Americans. Islam? I get a chance to, like, and I'll get back to this later. Allah has blessed us to be able to channel a new book entitled Ruth the Moabites. And on this book, there's an Arabic phrase. It's man hadha. That's a question. Man hadha. Man hadha, in this sense, you know, of the spelling, means who is this relative to a woman, right? So basically saying that with everything that has been done to our people, especially our women, it was done. When you shake all of that off, the cares of the world, you stand in your square, and I'm not going to let what happened to me in the past define me or destroy me. I'm going to stand up, I'm going to obey my Father, God, Allah. You You walk through the earth like that, the world is asking, man, who is that? Who is this? Right? The book of Revelation, it talks about, who are those that are arrayed in white? You see? Who are those that have conquered their lower self? Islam? Because, the world had counted you out. There's nothing for the Negro in America. You were like I said, the global laughing stock of humanity. Everybody look at what happened to them. Look at what they're doing with themselves. Look how they, But when one of us or a group of us decides to transform themselves, right, begins to take on that work, like you might hear me off to the side when I want to bear witness to something, you might hear me say, "Oh, you're working, Mo. You're working." What I mean by that, Jesus was a working man. Some say he was a carpenter. Right? In Greek, I don't write Greek, but in English, the word was tecton, which literally means stone cutter. He even gave a demonstration about the rejected stone. That stone that the builders refused, that was rejected, but has now become the headstone of the corner. That's you all. The builders, the master builders of the earth have rejected us. Can't build, not off of them. Right? Surely discard them. Throw them over into the old rubbish heap. Right? But Allah had a great plan. Right? The prophet reveals it to us in our Quran. It says, out of the worst, the wise will find means of doing good. Right? So we as Moorish American Muslims, we've taken all that pain and all the Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast, and converted that energy. Right? Transmuted and transfigured that energy into something good. We've resurrected ourselves, because resurrecting ourselves is a fact. I look at you all, the ones who, I look at my Mo right here with a fez on, right? And we've shared some things. And he tells me, something about his past, and I'm not going to go into it, but the fact that my Mo right here is sitting with a fez on right now, in 2018, in America, before our nationals see him with that fez on, like, how did you get that? They want to know why. What are you? How did you get that? What are you studying? Because they got to figure it out. They got to understand that transfiguration. But see, our Prophet Noble Raleigh, he ran through America, kicking over gravestones, reaching inside those shallow graves, with that grip that don't slip, and resurrected us perpendicular to a living, to a dead horizontal, right, to a dead level. And looked us in the eyes and said, "You're not what they say you are. You're not Negro. You're not a black man. You're not colored Ethiopian. You're not African American or Latino. You're none of these things. Right. But instead, you are Moorish American. You're a descendant of the ancient Moors. Who are the Moors? We had been hit upside the head at high noon with a blunt object to the point where it knocked our conscious mind out, where we had forgotten all that we were. Right? I'll give you an interesting bit of history. In the year 1919, the ancient Arabic Egyptian order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, which is the Asiatic shrines, right? They were sued by the European shrines, taken to court. In our Ruth the Moabites book, we have a clipping of that article. This little paragraph, I should like to read it for you. This is right here. It says, Negro Shriners may wear fez and gay, which meant happy in this day, and gay costume. It says, Washington, June 4th, this is back in 1919. It said, the Supreme Court ruled Monday that the red fez and gay or happy costume of the Shriner may continue to be worn by Negroes, lowercase, as well as whites. The decision reversed 4 Texas courts which had granted the Dallas, Texas chapter of the white Shriners injunctions to prevent the Negro Shriners from using their distinctive lodge names, titles, insignia, and costumes. Now, this is the convention picture from, we can get a zoom in on that, from 1928, Prophet Noble Raleigh, just a few years later, 1919 to 1928 is not a long time, right? No laws had to be passed for Prophet Noble Raleigh and the Moorish American Muslims of that time to wear the garments of their forefathers. Why do you think that was? It's because it's not. It's ours, and they were what? What were our forefathers, Moorish American forefathers, doing? By putting on the garments of their forefathers, they were what? What's the first 2 lessons the prophet teaches you? They were being themselves and no one else. But see, when you claim to be a Negro, and you want to put on the garment of a Moorish American, it's actually illegal in certain states to do so. It's actually illegal. It's a friend of mine, I'm not going to mention his name, it's actually your cousin, who he was on this, you know, I don't want to have a driver's license, I don't want whatever. So he goes to court, this is in the state of New Jersey, goes to court with fez on. So the judge sits back there, he's looking at him. He said, okay, so, you know, what do you have? He's like, well, you know, I don't believe I should get the ticket, my right to do this, I'm assaulting, Okay, all right. He says, well, let's put that aside for a second. What is that headdress that you have on your head? Mr. Judge. He says, the fez. He said, I need you to give me a breakdown of, you know, of what that is and why you're wearing it. Brother at the time was really new to this whole movement, so he couldn't know. He didn't really know. So he said, what I'm going to do is, he said, I'm going to give you a week to prepare a brief to explain what the fez is. He said, and if you come back and not, I'll charge you with impersonating a Moor. This is what the judge told him in New Jersey. Right? Now, that might not be on the regular law books that you know, but then there's something they refer to as blue laws. Right? Blue laws are stuff like, you know, in certain states it's illegal to wear a mask or walk past a bank. Right? These are laws that they were set up back in the 1700s. In the state of Georgia, there's a blue law. If you don't have $7 in your pocket, you can be charged with vagrancy and arrested. It's on the books right now. It could be enforced. You know, if you're walking around with a screwdriver in your back pocket, you could be arrested. It's a vagrancy law. I mean, not vagrancy, it's a arrest. Well, it ties to vagrancy because back in those days, when they freed our forefathers on paper, and you know, a lot of us had building trades and stuff like that, they looked at the screwdriver could be a weapon. You know what I'm saying? So they arrested us, you know, did a lot of stuff like that. But the point is that the reason why these Asiatic Shriners who did not know their nationality, you know, had injunctions placed against them and stuff like that, is the fact that they did not know who they were. They were in impersonation. Islam, all right? But the Prophet came with the pure remedy. The pure remedy was just to be yourself. Islam, and you got to be the you that you were when you civilized the nations. That's what the earth represents. It don't represent anything else you call yourself aside from that. Right? So if our forefathers were the ones that came in Spain and civilized them, and we civilized them as Moors, right? Gave them soap, talked about a bathe, eradicated illness, you know, like I demonstrated last week about, you know, brought surgery and, you know, knowing how herbology, these different things. When the Catholic priests only told them that, you know, all I can do is pray for you. You know, I hope God fix that for you because I can't do nothing else. You know, the Moors are looking like, that's foolish. I'm gonna pray for you too, but let's examine and see what's going on. Moors were doing eye surgery in the year 700. Islam? You know, there's one name, you have a forefather named Ibn Hazm. Ibn Hazm, you know, he was the one that created for the contemporary era, you know, what we have now is eyeglasses, the original bifocals and all this type of stuff. He's also the one that, you know, that originally explained for the Moors, you know, how the earth could not be flat. You know, so we worked on that years ago, and that now is back. Everybody's actually arguing that now, right? But again, anytime you get people to not be themselves or be anything else, you can tell them anything. Islam? But in the spirit of transfiguration, I want to go to chapter 6 in our Quran. And after this, I'll go to religious controversy, and then we can get ready to go over the meeting. Chapter 6, chapter VI. It's entitled Life and Works of Jesus in India Among the Muslims. Now, our prophet straightens out the fact that if you thought that we were saying that Muslim had to do with, it started with the Prophet Muhammad, that title right there says Life and Works of Jesus in India Among the Muslims. So in Jesus' time, the people he was talking to were considered Muslims. Islam says, instruction 1, only a few verses, not the whole chapter. A royal prince of India, Ravana, in the south, was met at the Jewish feast. Ravana was a man of wealth, and he was just. And with a band of Brahmin priests, sought wisdom in the west. When Jesus stood among the Jewish priests and read and spoke, Ravana heard and was amazed. And when he asked who Jesus was and from whence he came and what he was, Chief Hillel said, and that's an independent research, do a research on Chief Hillel. He was one of Jesus' master teachers. So study him. So we know about Elihu, but research Chief Hillel. He was a master. He was also Paul's teacher, if you know anything about it. It says, we call this the day star from on high. For he has come to bring to men a light, the light of life, to lighten up the way of men and redeem his people of Israel. If you note, the word light is mentioned 3 times in that verse. Signs and symbols for conscious minds. Instruction 6. And Hillel told Ravana all about the child, about the prophecies concerning him, about the wonders of the night when he was born, about the visit of the Magian priests, about the way in which he was protected from the wrath of evil men, about his flight to Egypt land, and how he was then, serving with his father as a carpenter in Nazareth. Ravana was entranced and asked to know the way to Nazareth, that he might go and honor such a one as Son of Allah. And with his gorgeous train, he journeyed and came to Nazareth of Galilee. He found the object of his search engaged in building dwellings for the sons of men. And when he first saw Jesus, he was climbing up a 12-step ladder, and he carried in his hands a compass, a square, and an axe.
Islam.
So I said Jesus was a working man. I said he spent his time building dwellings for the sons of men. Now you could look at that from an exoteric, that's another word. Exo means outer. Eso means inner. Right? So from an exoteric perspective, you could say, yeah, he was building houses for people. Building dwellings for the sons of men. Or you could say, relative to the verse that was, this after that, where it says he was climbing up a 12-step ladder, and he carried in his hands a compass, square, and axe, that he was using the working tools and building up the temple of the perfected man and woman as a child. Islam?
Islam.
See, that's why this royal prince, right? You hear more, say that. Islam, royal prince, that's coming. This chapter here. And it says that this royal prince heard of this child and left India walking to find this child. Islam?
Islam.
If you know anything about the Dalai Lama, the Dalai Lama, that portion of of Tibet, whatever, they deal with reincarnation. When the previous previous Lama, had passed form, or they say died, the priests went all throughout the territories. Because they were like, we know he's coming back. We gotta find out where he's at. Right? Eddie Murphy introduced that to y'all with the movie Golden Child. I don't know if y'all remember that movie. And where in the beginning of the movie, they had a little boy sitting up there, which was actually in real life, that was a little girl. That's another story. But they were giving him different tests, right? And one, he had to bring a bird back to life and other different things, right? But just to see if he was that one. Islam?
Islam.
All right. So, now clearly according to what the prophet gave us, this has nothing to do with, specific cultures, because, Ravana, who was from India, came and search out this child who was Israelite or Hebrew, right? And if he did all those things, he might be one of the ones that we know about in our records. So let's go and find him. And let's go honor him. Islam? All right? So this is what we have to learn how to do. That's just another aspect of more science in America, why we have to go out and reach those children. Because we don't know the leaders that we're looking for are probably amongst us as children, right? But we have to know how to test them to see if they are that ancient soul or not. Islam?
Islam.
Because imagine if we find, again, if you're honest, my grandchildren who are here, praise Allah for them, sitting still. You know how hard it is to get this one stay still. Know the prophet working the night. But, let's say if it was him, and, he had a bunch of blocks, and other kids are running around and tearing up and kicking, doing what kids do. But he's building these blocks and trying to, no, tear it down. We might have to think for architecture. Let's put him around the master builders and see how it works out. Islam? I was in communication with a sister from Ghana, and she said, this is what they do right now. Show her tribe. They were Ive. They said, let's try it here. Pronounced it W like a V, Ive. And they said that's how they don't allow the children just to pick careers because they're going to make money. They don't do that. They look at your natural talents, and they put you around masters who have mastered your natural talent. if you read our Quran, this is what the forefathers were doing. Islam. And, this is why they say, if you're doing something and, and you really like it, it's not work.
Islam.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I tell anyone, if you ever want to see me while I'm my most alive, it's when I'm demonstrating the works of the Prophet. When I'm doing my mundane tasks, I'm kind of happy. But when I got to get up and demonstrate the Prophet into something flame on, I'm live. This is because this is my purpose. Islam. And, praise be to Allah for allowing me to find that purpose. And I pray Allah put you all on that path as well. Islam? All right? And one last reading in Moorish literature, religious controversy, and just giving honors to our Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet Noble Drew Ali transfigured and transformed. If you look at the various different photographs of the Prophet, depending on what he was going through at the time, he actually took on a different physical appearance. If you know what you're looking for, you'll see it. The pictures on the wall, the Prophet's, he has all the politicians and the bankers, everything around him. He had a certain demeanor there. There's another one in the 1928 convention picture, he's standing up front, and he was surrounded by his enemies. The one that set him up and had him kind of overthrew, kind of helped to divide the movement, was 2 people over from him in the picture. And the Prophet knew who he was and marked him because there's only one other person wearing the sash that the Prophet has. But you think that was no strange happening. The Prophet's like, I'm gonna let the world know you, I'm gonna mark you. Just like, Jesus, let Judas kiss him and then told him, go do what you gotta do. These masters know, and again, it's not the ones that don't look. You see, a lot of times we think that it's going to be the Europeans that come. Always, right? Because your guard drops naturally around your own, right? But then again, if you operate from the realm of spirit, you'll be able to perceive things before they come. The Prophet tells us, act as thy soul dictates, and the end shall always be right. So you'll feel it, and then you might want to interrupt your schedule and say, I'm going to go this way instead of this way. That's a lot moving through until you get out of the way of this coming. Islam? Always pay attention to those things. But we're going to draw from religious controversy. Islam, Morris? In this age, there is still much religious controversy as to the right thing. Big and powerful ministers have come to the conclusion that something is wrong. Some say it is the 10 Commandments. Others say it is a lack of sincerity in the purpose of the churches. Still others think it is all worthless and not fit for the time it takes to attend them. However, or whatever their final decision might be, it is certain that they will make a change, or rather try to make one. The fact of the matter is that they have always had only a reflection of the truth and not the real thing. Like one who holds up to the sun a mirror and casts a few of its diverted rays in a different direction, so have they done with the truth that is supposed to have come from the east. Islam wants? So a lot of times we have a tendency to think that all truth is in the east. That's not what the Prophet said. The truth that is supposed to have come from the east. Much of the things that we automatically attribute to our African brothers, a lot of that stuff was already here. A lot of stuff we attribute to the Arabians and the Indians was already here. Islam? You see our Indian sisters, they wear they call it bindi. The jewel right here, the third eye, right? If you go amongst the various different Native American tribes, we cover that in the Ruth the Moabite's book as well. Many of the Native American tribes, when they wear the headdresses with the feathers and stuff like that, or the band that comes around, kind of how you have your turban wrapped now, they'll put what they refer to as a diadem in the front, which is a jewel in the front, representing the open third eye. So when the Prophet tells the sisters to wrap their turban and put the jewel in the middle, he's taking you back to stuff that was already here. It's in the East too, it's a global thing, but it was already here. Islam? And if you dig deep enough with pictures of your grandmothers and so on and so forth, you will probably come across some of those photographs. Islam? The Prophet says, there are but, I'm reading this slow for a reason, there are but few people who know what the truth is about man, and that few know that it is foolish to try to impart it to the ignorant. You don't tell everybody everything. You gotta ascertain the energy of the person before you give them everything. Islam? Even Jesus said, don't cast pearls to swine, lest they turn around and tear you apart violently. Islam? It says, although the ignorant has finished college, he is a fool right on, being trained to jump through a hoop. The longer he stays in the schools, the better he can jump, and the more he defends his jumping. Now, to square that, the prophet says in another portion, he said, if you get you a good European education, I could use you, right? Now, how do we square those two? We square those two because the college-educated ones in the prophet's time were the ones that thought they were wiser than the prophet. These are the ones that threw out the prophet's office furniture on the street. They're the ones that, sought to, get close to the prophet's wife, who was the secretary and treasurer, and have her to divert funds away from what, because the prophet would be on the road, he would call in for money, and the money, they wouldn't send the money. You see what I'm saying? He I'm gonna wait till I get back to Chicago. He got back and did the investigation and found out who was in the room. Islam, but these were the college-educated ones. One Claude Green Bay, who was the one who was the procurer of 3140 Indiana Avenue, which we refer to as Unity Hall. He was the butler of a rich Jew named Julius Rosenwald. And Julius Rosenwald was the financier behind Sears and Roebuck, Tuskegee University. He was the Jew that bankrolled all of these different projects. The YMCA, bankrolled them, very wealthy. Claude Green was his butler, very, very close to Claude Green. And, Claude Green was close to him. And, Claude Green was a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that Rosenwald know that we needed a building. So Rosenwald, gave, basically, let, the Moors use until the Moors finally acquired it, 3140 Indiana Avenue, right? But because he was in, the circles of the uppity Negroes, I'm saying Negro for a reason, of that time, he thought he was better than the prophet, wiser than the prophet. And he wanted the prophet's spot because the prophet had the ear of all the politicians and the bankers and all that. And the prophet was just a country brother from North Carolina. Didn't attend any universities, no Masonic lodges, no Islam. Things that ones were doing of that time to be popular. The prophet just popped on the scene, being himself, nobody else, and everybody wanted to be with him. You see? So, like the prophet says in one of the proclamations, it is all because of jealousy, because of my fame and nobility. Islam? Islam. Right. Moving forward. It says, now the prophet's going into something else. For those who have ears, they can hear this. It says, from the east comes all light, but though the sun is hanging at high noon, the blind cannot see. The same as the Islamic creed from the east was brought to the Asiatics of America by the prophet Noble Ali. The offer to those who were sick at heart, tried for many years, yet they are blind and cannot see the light. Islam, Moors, one day y'all gonna grow into the language the prophet was using. When you finally get it, you be like, ooh, he put it in the open. It says, nor is the prophet trying to put new wine in old skins, for he knows that it will burst them. Still, he has the only remedy for the nations, the remedy brought by Jesus, Muhammad, Confucius, and all of the other prophets, which remedy is truth. The nations do not want the truth. It is too stern. But until they accept it and find out where it is, there will continue to be a religious controversy. Islam Moors? Surely Allah speaks to the holy, the truth was holy divine prophet Noble Ali. Islam Moors? So the prophet is bringing us to an era where we have to transform ourselves. Being who we're, as Lamadi said, being in that comfort zone, being comfortable with being ignorant, has been declared out. Time's over. The tools that Sister Lamadi demonstrated in, chapter 5 in our Quran. The prophet returned our tools, but you have to get used to using them, right? Because the lie is not in the possessing of them. You have to know how to use them, right? We have a key that says, did the angel give to the child that was called Jesus a holy name? The answer was yes, but it cannot be used by those who are slaves to sin. Right? So if you want to actualize what Jesus became, you can't be a slave to sin. Right? And sin is, clinging to those principles that delude the slavery. That's sin. Right? So once you get to that life of you're demonstrating purity, you're becoming love made manifest, you'll start to notice certain changes in yourself. You know what I'm saying? The other ones will be able to look around you and see those changes as well. Now, it may win you friends, it may win you enemies. Whatever be the case, you have to be accustomed to it. You can't be afraid of those foes when they come, whether it be family or not. Islam? Persecution from your family is part of it. For those of us who know, when you first came around with fez on, at the barbecue, when they cooking swine and everything, you name it on the barbecue, you like, oh no, I don't eat meat anymore. What? You was raised on him up to the whole family gets together to ingest of you. You know, you got to be strong enough, secure enough in your position to smile and all this. Islam? You know, and not to fight back and get in that. You know what I mean? Or sisters, when you wrap your hair in there, who was that thing all over again? I know you hot. Ain't you hot? I've heard sisters go through all kinds of stuff. Islam? But when you stand, you know, in the essence of your grace, you know, with the prophet said, with modesty on your cheek. You understand what I'm saying? It makes those who seek that, the people actually turn on them. Don't you leave that sister alone. You know, I'm gonna tell a quick story now, Lord, meeting. There was two sisters that I knew. They were identical twins. They were from Brooklyn. One of them had joined an organization. It was an Islamic organization where they were all white and wore veils. The other one, you know, dressed very revealing, right? So there was a group of brothers that was on the sidewalk. They were shooting craps. In New York, it's called CeeLo. They should use 3 dice. They shooting CeeLo, cussing, acting the fool, doing what it do, right? The sister with the veil, now remember, she has a twin sister, but they work together. One of the sisters, one with the veil, she's walking up the block. One of the brothers, you know, saw her, you know what I'm saying, walking up the block. So, hold on, everybody back up. Stop cussing. I know y'all see the sister, back up. Salas alaikum, sister. Salas alaikum. He pulled it out the best he could, you know? She said, alaikum salam, brothers, and kept going, right? Not too long after that, her identical twin was walking up the block. This is in the era of Daisy Dukes. Some of y'all too young to remember that. But she had these shorts on that revealed everything, right? She's walking up the block, and they said every manner of savagery that they could to the sister, right? Now, the irony is, you know, one of the brothers knew the women. He ran down the block and caught her and said, did your sister just come through and I saw her? Yeah, she left the house before me. She had to come up to respect her. He laughed and came back and was like, you know, the one with the veil, that was her sister. And a while how we just did that, we respected one, but we didn't respect the other. And they were like, why did we do that? She commanded the respect by walking with grace, and she respected herself, so she commanded everyone around to respect her. They gave, you know, they bore witness to her. Islam. You know, like the brother Muhammad Ali said, if you had a, you know, duffel bag full of money, you know, would you leave it open on your $1 million? Would you leave it on your front yard, or would you put it up safely away from where ones could see it and do harm to it? You know, so the things that the prophet brought back to us were the things that, you know, they were the protection for civilization. You see, and when we don't struggle against that, and we come into being ourselves and no one else, we'll experience that peace, and we'll dwell in the abode of peace, where no vain word or sinful discourse is heard. Islam? Moors, I'd like to thank you all for sacrificing time on Friday night to come out, and so as our noble Sheik Rashid and Halim Bey demonstrated, so we could reason together. You know, this is a mighty practice that we do each week, and you know, we must attend to it, because if we don't, when the time comes when we have to perform, we won't be ready. Islam? All, let's say, agencies of government practice and drill constantly. So when the time comes, which they don't know about, their response time will be what it should be, right? And many of us, you know, as Moorish Americans, because we, you know, being raised as Negro, blacks, and colors, sometimes we have sluggish will, so we don't put the time and energy in the things that matter the most, right? And I give honors, again, to the Ashe Bay family, because what they are realizing now, which they may have had an inkling of, but they definitely know now, is the importance of nation building. Because nation building and the allocating of resources, budgets, and all types of stuff, you know, you can't raise a child properly if you don't have those things in place. You know, if everybody doesn't do what they're supposed to in the home, it all falls apart, right? And so you're able to see these things. You know, why the prophet was really big in Acts 7, he gives us, husband, you must, wife, you must, sons and daughters must, and he gave the roles back of what everybody needs to do. So our nation, which is the family at first, and it expands out from family to family, create clans. Those clans create tribes. Those tribes create nations. Those nations create empires, right? So when we're talking about the Moorish Empire, we're talking about something so vast that in this modern day, we really don't have an inkling of what that was. You know, why it was hard to hold together, because it was so vast. Kind of like the American Empire right now. Wherever there's a military base, you know, consulate or a embassy, that's U.S. territory, right? So, you know, that thing is so vast now, it's beginning to fall apart, because you got to do almost too much to try to keep it together. Islam, But let us focus, our energy in those things that matter the most. To have children and mothers and fathers and elders, and these are the things, the constituent parts of our side of the nation. And if we're lacking in any of them, then we're not whole, we're not complete. Like I say, if I have times where my body's 100%, and I have other times I get migraine headaches, sensitive to light and sound, and those days when I have those, I'm not whole. Right? Now I could get behind here with a migraine and demonstrate, but it won't be what it was if I didn't have one. Islam? So that's why we got to go and heal our people. Because we need everybody, at peak performance. Islam? There was a point in Japanese history, where every Japanese man, woman, and child had to fight to defend the nation. They demonstrated that. Islam? Because even the children had a sense of nationalism. When they saw that flag, let's go. They're ready to go at her age. To hold on. Not saying we advocate peace and not destruction, right? But we got to put nationalism into our babies early. That's a Moorish American Muslim right there. A little baby right there. Islam? That's a member of our nation, right? And there's no reason why she should have to grow up into a world where she should ever have to have her hand out looking for a job from no one but her own. Or she should be able to inherit her own business. Islam? Yeah, I got goals for y'all's baby over there. Yeah, Godfather goals. But I just, I want that. You know what I'm saying? And I look at my own grandchildren. There's certain things I want for them that, they're like, let's say their parents might not see because they're young, right? But there's something when you're a grand anything. You're a grandfather, that's a pretty powerful message. You're a grandmother, that's a powerful message. You're a grand sheik, that's pretty powerful. You're a grand governor, Islam, a grand historian. Anything grand means supreme. Islam? That means when nobody else does it, that means it's your duty to do it. If nobody else comes to the temple, nobody else wants to teach tonight, if I'm the grand sheik, if all the sheiks called off, right? Islam, who got to be here? Islam?
Islam.
I've done that too. But, and not do that in fault their own, but just during times when before Sheikh Rashid, I was carrying everything by myself. Allah said, Allah and our Supreme Grand Sheikh, Dawood Ali, said, well, you gotta delegate authority. You got too much on you. I was scared to make sheiks. I was like, what if they're not worthy? More time will tell that. Don't be afraid to put it on. But you just find the ones that's nearest to worthy and put it on. And praise Allah, here we go. And these Moors have transformed themselves to the point where I can actually just sit and just let it ride. Or I can be out of time, these Moors rock out. Islam? That's a beautiful thing. I feel like a proud father. Understand? The Prophet says that in magistrate subject. He is a father unto them. Islam?
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Hayya ala salah. Allahu Akbar.
Islam, Sheik Heru Ranesi-El, author of the Ruth the Moabitess book. This book right here is now available. This is the most dynamic book you're going to find outside of the works of the Prophet Noble Travel that demonstrates the science of Ruth the Moabitess and the importance of nationality. Prophet Noble Drowley asked, it says, what was the nationality of Ruth? The answer was, Ruth was a Moabitess. Inside of this book here, we have 12 chapters breaking down history, etymology, comparative religious studies, international law, nationality, divine creed, the importance of male-female relationships, the importance of the feminine gender, covering the divine feminine, and a host of other topics. You have 9 appendixes outside the 12 chapters, which are supplementary information to support the 12 chapters, and it kind of extends the learning and truth regarding this particular topic, right? Within here as well, you have various different portraits of various different Asiatic and Muslim characters. You have Ruth in here. You have images of Naomi, images of Tamar, the wife of Judah. You have images of Nimrod, King Misha, and a host of others. And we've done this primarily to drive home the fact of how important it is of imagery. We need to see images of ourselves, because foreign ones have taken our forefathers and painted them to look like themselves, but we have to set the record straight. And this is a record that set that record straight Within inside of each copy of Ruth the Moabitess is a copy of the Divine Constitution and Bylaws from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because we have to remind ourselves of the law. So this is a complimentary copy that comes with all copies or ordered copies of Ruth the Moabitess. Don't miss out. These copies are selling fast, and you can obtain a copy of Ruth the Moabitess at www.alhambra19pub.com. That's Alhambra, A-L-H-A-M as in more, B as in boy, R-A, 19, P as in prophet, U-B as in boy.com. www.alhambra19pub.com. Our Prophet Noble Drew Ali instructed us that our mission statement is to uplift fallen humanity, to teach those things necessary to make us better citizens. And this book, Ruth the Moabitess, will help us to gain a comprehension of what that truly means. Peace and blessings and honors to all Moabitesses throughout the world. Peace.